Hi, so in today's session we're going to make a Genoise sponge. A Genoise sponge is a continental sponge, very different from what we make in England. We usually make a Victoria sponge, which is a sugar batter method. It's where we're creaming our butter and sugar and then we're adding our egg and our flour. This way we're going to be doing very different. We're not going to be using a braising agent. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be whisking the eggs and sugar together, getting the air into it and then folding through our flour and butter. This way the bubbles expand in the cake and make a lovely light sponge. Just to make it even lighter, when we do a Genoise, what we're going to do is we're going to warm the mixture over a bain-marie. So here I've got 4 eggs, I've got 125 grams of caster sugar, and I've got it over a very, very gently simmering pan of water. I don't want it to be too high. The reason being is otherwise it could curdle the egg, but the sugar will protect the egg from generally curdling. I'm just going to give it a whisk together. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the temperature of that egg sugar mixture up to 40 degrees. What that's going to do, it's going to dissolve the sugar. It's going to dissolve the sugar into the egg, which will make it lighter, a bit like when you're making a Swiss meringue. And also it will warm up the egg, again making it lighter, just like a hot air balloon. When air gets warm, it becomes lighter, and it will be the same with this. All this mixture will take on more air and become lighter, creating a lighter sponge. So this shouldn't take too long. The reason being is already it's at room temperature where it's about 18 degrees. To get up to 40 degrees, it won't actually take too long at all. You can give it the odd stir, just keep an eye on it. Give it a good mix around so you get an accurate reading of the temperature. Saying so far, about 33 degrees, which already is quite warm. It doesn't take too long to heat it up. So that's 36 degrees, you can see this doesn't take long at all. Keep it moving to make sure it's all evenly even temperature distributed through the whole of the egg. Just double checking that is 40 degrees. Okay, so remove it from the bain-marie. You'll see that the sugar has dissolved in the egg. Now what I'm going to do, we'll onto the electric mixer, whisk that up to the brimming stage. So I already have this pre-prepared, 2 pieces of paper cut at the bottom, as you can see on the crease, ready to fold into my 22cm cake tin, and I've also got the round ready. So all I need to do lay that into my cake tin. Lay my piece of paper over the top into the centre, and that's now completely prepared. I spray oiled it as well, just to help the paper stick to the edges. So that's now ready for when I fold it through my flour and butter. Taking about 5 minutes. It's at the ribbon stage, light and fluffy. I've got my 125 grams of flour here. I've got a sieve ready to sieve that in. I'm also going to use a balloon whisk for folding in, as I like to use a balloon whisk rather than a spatula. And here I've got my clarified butter, so I've melted that, clarified it, and now I've let it cool. Always let your butter cool before you add it to your to your cake mix. So sifting in, that's helping add more air to stop the flour from clumping into the sponge. What we don't want to do is we don't want to overfold this, otherwise what will happen is we'll knock all the air out. So I'm just going to start to fold this through the mixture. So it's halfway folded through already. And what I'm going to do, just make sure it goes right to the bottom because the flour wants to sink to the bottom. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just on the side, just trickle that clarified butter in. Don't have to use butter in the Genoise, that's an optional extra. It's just going to add that extra little bit of richness to the cake. What I'm going to do, just gently folding it through. Just make sure that you get that bit right at the bottom. You don't want to find that you've got that dry flour once you tip the sponge mix into the cake tin. You don't want to work this for too long and overfold it. Now that's ready. Tray. Now what I'm going to do is put the mixture into the cake tin. So it should still be thick, loosey. Even in the sponge, into the tin. Now I'm going to put that in for 25 to 30 minutes at 170 degrees. So I baked the Genoise for 25 minutes, put a skewer in, a cake tester just to make sure it's fully cooked, so it is fully cooked. And then what I did is I took it out of the tin and I turned it upside down just to cool on a cooling rack. It's now completely cold. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just finish garnishing. Okay, so I'll just put that to the side. I've got my creme au beurre in a piping bag ready. I've got some raspberry jam ready to go. Now I'm just going to cut my sponge in half and ice it up. So I'm just going to use a pastry knife to just cut the Genoise in half, work my way around, trying to make sure it's nice and even. It's done. So you can see it's a lovely light sponge. Genoise is really, really nice. I'm going to loosen up some of this jam just to spread on. Use anything you want. When you do your flavouring for your creme au beurre, instead of putting vanilla in like I did, you can always put some lemon extract, some lemon juice, some orange juice, coffee. Of course you can make a chocolate Genoise, the recipe's there for a chocolate Genoise as well. It's completely up to you what you'd like, whatever you want to do. Okay, so I'll just put some jam on there. And all I'm going to do now is I'm just layering this up exactly the same way as if I was making a Victoria sponge. The only difference being is I'm using the Genoise instead of the Victoria sponge. And then what we're doing is, instead of using buttercream, our traditional buttercream, what we're going to be doing is using the French buttercream. It's just going to give a slightly lighter, more moussey effect. Just spread this around, and of course then you can finish it off however you want, what flavours. You could do a chocolate Genoise with a chocolate creme au beurre. You could do if you want, you can have a go at making some different icings. If you want, you can get some recipes off of me. I'm quite happy. You can do a Swiss buttercream or a French buttercream. What I want you to do is just make something a little bit different. Okay, so I've got my jam on there. Now what I'm going to quickly do is put my creme au beurre on. So it's lovely and light and moussey. It's not heavy, it's not greasy like the traditional buttercream can be. Top back on, and now just to finish off, I'm going to finish it off just by dusting it as you would a Victoria sponge, Victoria sandwich. Just that little bit of icing to finish. So really simple, but a nice light aerated sponge. A little bit different from your traditional Victoria sandwich.